We are here with Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher, and we're going to take a look at their top 10 YouTube videos of 2022, starting at 10, Jamie, with your exclusive interview with Mikel Arteta.
Wow. Did the size of the club being your first job worry you?
It is a worry, and as well the timing of it. You are in the middle of the season, you know. The club was in a really difficult place. The atmosphere around the whole place was difficult, and I never done it in my life.
We enjoyed that, Jamie. We saw Arteta very relaxed in that kind of setting.
Yeah, he was really good. I'm not surprised he was relaxed, how well his team's playing at the moment. Yeah, he's done a brilliant job at Arsenal, turned it around, a lot of criticism, and it was nice to get a little bit of insight into it.
It's not something that you predicted at the end of last season, though, is it?
No, but I predicted when he first came in, he'd do a really good job. Yeah, I've always been a fan of Mikel Arteta.
At the end of last season, we both said we thought that was as good as it would get, and we thought he'd be in trouble this season, didn't we?
I thought he would be. I mean, what's going on here is Gary's getting a lot of criticism.
Oh, getting battered at the moment.
No, he doesn't want to stop that. He just wants to get a lot of it coming towards me.
No,
do you know what I mean?
I hope Arsenal.
You said a few weeks ago.
I hope Arsenal win the league. I genuinely do.
Oh.
Well, you've been meeting players as well, both of you, but at number 9, it's Gary Neville with Erling Haaland.
You mentioned Ole before. He was the manager at Manchester United. He was your manager at Molde. How are you not playing for Manchester United? How has that not happened? How has this been allowed?
You have to ask him. You have to ask him for this.
How different was he to what you expected as a personality?
I thought he'd be really calm, relaxed, confident. He was. I don't think to be fair, I think he was very. You remember some of the interviews that he did with Dortmund? They were quite out there, weren't they? But I think he's calmed down a little bit since then.
The thing I hope with Haaland is, obviously, we keep talking about him and Mbappe almost taking that role of Messi and Ronaldo. And the thing with Messi and Ronaldo is because they become that big that you don't really get that much access to them. Can you remember ever anyone really sitting down with Messi and having almost knowing what he feels about football? We know the big famous interview Ronaldo's just had, but it feels like you don't get that sort of access and get to know them as much as you'd like to, really. And I think if we could, not just us, everybody in the Premier League, we've got an absolute superstar in Haaland. It'd be great to actually sit down with him and know his thoughts on football and other things a lot more.
We're seeing it a bit more, aren't we? We're seeing players talk to us a bit more openly, managers as well, as in our number 8 on the list, when Gary and Jamie went to take on Erik Ten Hag.
How can it be that Brentford's players want to win more than Manchester United's players?
It has to change. They appointed me to change that.
The player you've brought in at centre-back, Lisandro Martinez, the two teams you've come up against now have targeted him with a lot more long balls.
The data shows he is dominating.
What was the reason you brought him off at half-time for then?
I could have sub 11 players.
Now, that was after Manchester United just got turned over 4-0 here at Brentford, right near the start of the season. He was just in the job. And often when you get reporters going along, 2 of them, you go like a good cop, bad cop. But this was bad cop and bad cop. Bad cop and worse cop.
I have to say, he got that week, he got the toughest questions he could have possibly been asked. And he showed up, didn't he, all week before that Liverpool game on the following Monday, won that game. And I have to say, from that moment, I always thought he has got the steel to manage Manchester United. I think he's shown since, actually. Coming out of that week, obviously the Harry Maguire situation, the Cristiano Ronaldo, he's been absolutely brilliant. But I felt it was a tough interview to do, let alone for him. I don't know how he found it.
Yeah, I mean, in that first week, really, Manchester United manager, I mean, there was actually people talking about his job. Yeah. In that first week, which was ridiculous. I mean, Man United had started such a poor performance the season before. It was always going to, take a few weeks, bring his players in. But no, I think he's come across really well. And let's not forget, he's not just the Manchester United manager. He's competing with 2 managers who we've said are the best managers in the world for the last sort of 4 or 5 years, in Guardiola and Klopp. So there's some great managers in the Premier League, and I think he's more than holding his own at the moment.
Wasn't it also quite something, in a difficult moment like that, he could have said, my English is not good enough, I'm not confident enough to do it. He could have hidden behind the press officer in that situation and said, I don't want to speak to those guys.
If you remember that week, the owners were coming under massive pressure. The players were coming under pressure, but he was the one that stood up. He was the one that, to be fair, fronted everything, and I think he does deserve a lot of credit for that. Jamie's just mentioned about Guardiola and Klopp, but also people wanted Conte to come to take his job, and Conte's been doing well at Tottenham, so I think there was an element of massive amount of pressure on him. I think he's doing really well.
At 7 was a moment at Old Trafford and a slightly surreal interview we were all part of. What do you think of the new coach and the direction he's going in?
I like it so far. Sorry, I'm a bit flustered right now. You know? Do you know what it is? I've never even. I've never met these lot before. So we was just walking past. We was just starstruck, and then someone gave me a mic, and now I'm here. I'm like, yo, Mama made it.
It was great fun, actually. He just happened to be walking behind the camera as we were chatting on the pitch side, and why not come and have a chat with us? And he seemed to enjoy it as much as we did. So who else would you like to join us pitch side?
Liam Gallagher.
Guests, haven't you? Liam Gallagher.
Yeah, let's bring Liam. That'd liven it up, wouldn't it?
We've had Noel, but Liam's
What's he
probably a little
called me?
bit feistier.
He calls me something, doesn't he? What's he called me?
Probably something you can't repeat.
No, I can't remember what he calls me now. Oh.
He's got a nickname for us all, I think.
Yeah, who would be on your list?
That wouldn't be a bad one, actually. I'm trying to think who else would we like to interview. Who would we like to get on here? Cristiano Ronaldo.
Ah.
That'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
I thought you meant like a pop star, didn't you?
Oh, no, I think Cristiano Ronaldo would be a great interview, wouldn't it? We never got to
It
interview
wouldn't
him.
last long.
Funny you say that, because you both had a bit of cold shoulder treatment from Cristiano.
Oh, have you got that next?
Oh, that must be on.
Let's have a look at number 6.
Doing his best. We need to see him back to doing his best.
The main man is here tonight.
Glad you're listening to me.
Cristiano Ronaldo on the bench, of course, for Manchester United
On the
tonight.
bench. Where you been?
Former teammate of Gary Neville and Roy Keane. Do you want a word with us? A word, Cristiano?
Good to see you, Ronaldo. Take it easy.
Perhaps not. Maybe later.
I didn't realise he'd blanked you as well.
On both occasions. Absolutely. But there was a deliberate ploy from you, I think,
Carragher
Jamie,
did-
to try and, get toe to toe.
I'm trying to bring him. I'm trying to bring him into our show. I'm trying to get him involved. I'm thinking of the team. But you don't realise how far these things go. So only a week ago, I was with my nephew, and he just walking. He's got a football in his hand, and he just did a Ronaldo shoe, or the jump and the turn. And I said, "Oh, Ronaldo." He said, "Yeah, he ignored you." And he's like 6. You know what I mean? So all these kids, everything you do like that. So getting bombed out Ronaldo has been a major problem. People haven't forgot it.
You were in good company, though,
Oh,
because
very,
someone
very.
else got blanked
Did I look
by
scared?
Ronaldo. Well, have a look at this one. The Manchester United players just emerged behind us to a very good reception, particularly for Cristiano Ronaldo, who had a good reception for our pundits as well. Louis Sahar catching up with an old mate, Jamie Redknapp. Oh. You see, Gary, Jamie Carragher will tell you that's what happens if you speak against Cristiano.
We're off the Christmas card list, aren't we?
It was a bit of a funny one, wasn't it? Because you must have seen him coming out the tunnel as
No,
well.
I saw him out the corner of my eye, and I thought, he's probably going to blank me here, because I can't think he's going to come over, because to be fair, he's sensitive, isn't he? He is sensitive, and he'd done it to him, so he's about to do it to me. And
What was the?
it's like, like
No,
you
it was
did.
like-
He's going to shake
You're
me out
at the corner of your eye.
How do you think you would have handled it yourselves? And not quite superstars in your own right, but not quite on that level.
Well, I wonder-
we heard Virgil van Dijk say, Jurgen Klopp saying about Virgil the other day that he doesn't like pundits very much at the moment. How would
He
you
don't
have
like
handled it?
Virgil. Don't like him, but he wouldn't. I wouldn't have
Not
run.
interested.
I wouldn't have run over, to be fair, to a studio. I don't think before a game. I don't think I ever would have done. To be fair, I'm not sure. Would you?
So was he making
I
a
think,
point?
Oh, he's
I think
definitely
if I'm
making a
being
point,
totally
yeah.
honest, I don't think Ronaldo was coming over deliberately to get involved. He wasn't in the team, and he craves attention. Let's be honest about it. So it wasn't just our channel. He was doing it on other stations. He comes over, says hello. You have to talk about him then, and that's what Ronaldo's about, isn't he?
All right, now we're going back to April and the aftermath of Manchester United's 4-0 defeat to Liverpool.
Like I said, there's some lads out there that are probably really good lads, good professionals, got a good careers, have good talent, but they're broken.
Why though?
I have no
You keep
idea. They're
saying the good
broken.
players or the
They're
good lads.
broken. They're broken. Jamie, they've proven that they're half decent players over a few years. Fernandes is an half decent. He's a good player. There's some decent players out there. They've got talent. They've played at good levels, and they're broken. They're finished, and they're done this season.
That was really Jamie and Gary having a little pop at each other, not for the first time. But can I ask you this question? On when you're doing Liverpool games, when you're doing Manchester United games, do you find the analysis bit harder because your emotions are involved in it as well?
No, I didn't find that. I thought on that particular one, I thought the point's been proven to be correct with what's happened this season with Rashford, with Shaw, with players who, to be fair, now proving that they are good players. In that studio that day, it was that they were all bad players and that they all, to be fair, shouldn't be at Manchester United anymore. They should sell Rashford.
Man, you were still fourth,
No, what I'm saying to you is that the them lads have proven they're still good players. Rashford's proved in the last few months. Shaw's proved in the World Cup that he's a good player. And Maguire's proved in the World Cup he's a good player, can play at the highest level. So they've proved that they're good players individually. I'm not saying they're the right players to get Man United to the title, but they have
What are
proved
you saying, then?
well, they're good players. They're better than what they were showing.
I would say this, Jamie, when you're doing a Liverpool game, compared to when, you know, you're turning up for another game, you're a lot less relaxed around it.
Yeah, you're more emotionally involved. I mean, Gary's reaction there, or my reaction, if it was the other way, would be different than if Chelsea or Arsenal lost. And I think we maybe get criticised for that. But I wouldn't change that, because I think people talk about having pundits from a certain club when they... So pundits, and people automatically think that if you've got a pundit from Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool, Man United, they're going to somehow go out to bat for the team. I actually think it's the opposite. I actually think we're a lot harder on our own teams than I would be. So I did Chelsea yesterday on commentary. I think I'd have been tougher on Liverpool if that was a Liverpool performance, because maybe I'm more emotionally involved in it than I would be watching. I'm not bothered if Chelsea win or lose. So I actually think pundits from certain teams, ourselves, Mike and Man City maybe, I think you're a lot tougher on your own team rather than actually going out to praise or out for bat for them.
Tell us what it's like then, Gary, when you're in a situation in the studio like that. You might have myself or Kelly firing questions at you. You know if there's any type of slip, then Jamie is going to pounce. That Roy's there maybe to pick up. That Graham might have a completely different argument. There are some strong personalities in there, but you've got to keep your wits about you.
Yeah, you have got to be. You have got to keep your wits about you. But to be fair, it's I think that Super Sunday post-match big game, it's 4 blokes that have sat there in a pub that have played the game, having a go about what's just happened in the match. That's what that was that we just saw then. That's how I see it. With a little bit of education around playing the game, some have coached in the game, all fans of the game, and I think the fans at home or the fans that are in the pub are having those arguments that we're having. Should Manchester United appoint a new manager? Should Liverpool sign a striker? They're all having those sides of the debates, and they want to hear what we've got to say. So I don't think you can go wrong in respect to sometimes it's always that one, oh, he's owned you. You know what I mean? I've been owned about 3,000 times in the last 2 years. I've been owned 3 million times, mate. I've been ratioed and owned like you would not believe. Like, I just feel like I've made a point on football. You know, I remember, it's like this morning. I remember this morning they're all calling for Conte, saying that he could be sacked. I was being battered a year ago for being told he should manage my club. It's like, and it always comes around sometimes. You have to wait. You just have to wait. Dave, don't go early. Don't go early. Don't go early.
You often come out with such a quick line. Do you have a little pre-think on some of those? Do you have a little few kept up your
absolutely. He's loaded the gun like you would not believe.
Well, you can tee people up sometimes. Like, it's not just for TV. I always just do it in general. I just think if he said something to me, what would I say back? I think you've always got to be ready for someone.
Do you know something? I've seen Carragher get done a couple of times, and you always know when Carragher's going to go... It's a brilliant look. You know what I mean?
But that was that Roy one, wasn't it? When he said to you in the studio that day, "You haven't won the title."
But it was not about that.
All right, number 4. It was a very different story after Manchester United managed to beat Liverpool.
I don't know what it is, but I can't believe what I've just witnessed. I mean, Liverpool weren't at the best, let's be really clear, but they weren't at the best against Crystal Palace and Fulham. But it was just the effort difference that we saw from Manchester United. They've outrun Liverpool, they've outsprinted Liverpool.
The disappointment for me was that Liverpool weren't ready for the derby game, and that for me is unforgivable. I mean, I absolutely love this team, what they've done over the last 4 or 5 years, and you can very rarely throw that at them. But it's happened too often this season.
Well, it turns out that Manchester United being successful is actually quite a popular story as well as the other side of the coin.
Well, Manchester United, to be fair, I would put Liverpool into that category as well, slightly below. Manchester United will always be a massive story. If United get beat 4-0 here at Brentford, it doesn't matter what happens elsewhere in the rest of the league, that is always going to be the back page news the day after, maybe even front page. And the same with players like Cristiano Ronaldo. United will always make the biggest news. That's not me being biased, it's just a fact. And them losing's big, them winning actually isn't as big, believe it or not. When if Liverpool win today...
It is at the moment.
No, if Liverpool win today here at Brentford, it won't make the back page tomorrow. If Liverpool get beat 3-0 here today, there's a chance it could make the back page, and that's just the nature of playing for a big club, commentate on a big club. We always want that jeopardy, don't we? That sort of big incident, that big story, and we thrive for those games where the big teams lose. Not my team. I want Liverpool to get beat today so that we can hear this. Don't make it, man.
Get the kids on the shoulders.
Yeah. Well, at number 3, we had a bit of fun the final day of last season with Jack Grealish. Congratulations, Jack. Enjoy tonight. Be good. Look after him if you're going to be going out with him.
Oh, definitely out tonight.
These two tonight, I'm worried.
I'm
out if he's out.
That's what we want to know. Did the night out ever actually happen?
No, I didn't get a night out that night. Oh, I think you did, didn't you? You had a little sneaky one in Hale without us. Yeah, he did a little sneaky one in Hale, didn't he, without us?
He's had a few sneaky ones lately, hasn't he?
Hey, Karen, we don't get invited to the sneaky little ones anymore. You know?
Okay, so let's ask this question. if there was a chance to have a night out with a current Premier League player, Jamie, who would you like to?
Oh, I think
Grealish.
Grealish would be up there, wouldn't he?
Yeah, it would be Grealish, I think.
Who else are we thinking?
Well, it might be an educational night. It doesn't have to be a...
Oh, no. I don't want any of them.
Who else?
I was sick of them at school.
I'm trying to think.
Oh, no, you want to go for it, don't you, big time?
I'm trying to think who plays for another club. Oh.
Maddison would be quite fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He likes the darts, doesn't he?
And I'm always thinking ahead like the next pundits as well. You know, like a Maddison, maybe a Trent Alexander-Arnold. We need that Liverpool voice, Gary, don't we?
We ain't got enough for him, have we?
He's a posh scout, do you want that?
All right, number 2 is another Cristiano Ronaldo-related discussion.
He was doing that to Rashford and all that with the body language. He knows what he's doing, Cristiano. He's an experienced player, and players of that power.
Loads of players do it.
But players of that power, they have a really negative.
Loads of players do
but
it.
they have a really negative influence on the others when they do it.
I'd be worried if he was happy to be taken off.
No,
happy
I
to be
know,
on the
but the
bench.
influence they have on other players is really negative because of the power that they have. They're in an influential position. I love him
Well,
to
obviously
bits,
not
Roy.
today, because Fernandes, the manager, said the spirit is great.
I
The spirit is
I
great.
love Cristiano to bits, but you can't defend him leaving the
I'm
ground
not
twice.
saying.
Well, you've both had experience of this. Jamie certainly first, and then that was your first real sort of toe-to-toe with Roy. What's that like when you see the whites of his eyes?
No, I mean, I just thought that was a healthy debate in terms... I can see why Roy sees it from that side because of the way he sees football, and I said that in that debate, that when you've been that excellent and that sort of big, you see... when you do get left out and come to get left out, it's a lot more difficult than when, to be fair, you know that point in your career is going to come like it did for me. And I just happily played the 25, 30 games a season in the last 2 or 3 years because I knew I wasn't playing at the level.
I think our viewers are more interested, not in that bit.
In what?
In the bit when you're actually going at it with Roy.
But you know something? I've never, ever, I've had ones with him, I've had one with Roy, with Graham, with Jamie Redknapp, and you'll probably see them. I've never once, not at the end of the show, shook hands, ever. I never do that. In the dressing room, the same as a player. Always went and shook hands at the end, and we move on. And so that's why I did it with Jamie Redknapp when we were here on the pitch.
What did you say to Roy, sorry?
6 months. No. Sorry, Roy. Am I all right? No, you just go and shake hands and say, good show, and then you get the little smirk from him, and then you move on. You need, do you know something? We need those debates in the studio. We need an analysis. We need tactical thinking. We need, obviously, good conversation that isn't, but sometimes there does need to be that debate between people in a studio. I can't stand it. I can't stand it when I watch sometimes television shows where...
Go on, fight through it.
I can't stand it sometimes when I watch a television programme on football where it looks like it's all been organised before what each other's going to say. They are completely off the cuff. I've come round from commentary. No one knows what I'm going to say. I don't know what he's going to say. And the same likewise with Carragher.
I remember when you had the first one with Roy, 2021, I think it must have been. But we went into a break. I don't know if you remember this, because it was getting more and more heated, and then suddenly just everyone burst out laughing when you got in the break. Do you remember?
I mean,
and the ice was broken.
Yeah, people ask you when the show's finished, oh, what happened at the end of the show? It just, as I said, what Gary said there, just all big football fans, you get passionate about it. But I love those type of shows. I could do those shows every week. I love having arguments with people about
Dave,
football.
do you remember in that? So exactly something similar happened when we went to the break. Me and Roy carried it on in the break, and I said that should have been shown after. We should continue to show during the break because the debate continues. It doesn't just stop there, and we all go, oh, well done, that was good, wasn't it? We do continue the actual debate during the break, and we did there, if I remember rightly.
And Gary's already referenced it, but it wasn't the only spat he had last year, because number 1 is what happened here at Brentford with Jamie Redknapp.
like that.
Jamie, you've had
when you're a player, do you actually think to yourself?
Jamie,
Hold on, let me just ask you a question.
You've had to got the players before the break.
Because but you're saying when you're a player, and I've been involved. We didn't win the league for 30 years at Liverpool, right? Just look at me when I'm talking to you. We didn't win the league for 30 years, right?
Joshua Usyk, dethrone the king, is up
Redknapp
next
and Neville
on Sky
on the underbill.
Sports main event.
That'll be that'll be some fight, that one.
There you go. You
See, I took the edge off it. See, I took the edge off it, Dave.
Yeah.
There you go, you see. But that was about, obviously, about these players at Manchester United, that view of they all need clearing out, and I didn't believe that was to be the case. And the players...
I've been proven right again, haven't I? That's what he's setting himself. He's through the Conte on it.
It takes a year sometimes, you know what I mean?
But I don't think you're ever going to be proven right on the Arsenal one, by the way.
No chance.
We'll see.
That feels like a big one.
No, sorry. That was earlier on in the season where I said, look, I think they will make the top four. I think they will make the top four, but I still think there is a long way to go in this season.
What about the Messi one?
Hey, just something. I was wrong on
the Messi one.
Going back all the years ago, I was massively wrong on Leicester. Like you would not believe. I said all the way through, Leicester will blow up, Leicester will fall away, and they never did. So you sometimes are wrong when you go for a point, and you admit that when you're wrong.
The viewers clearly like the big debates.
Yes.
The sparks, the head-to-heads. Jamie, this one for you. If you could pick someone from any network, any channel to get in the studio and have a good debate with, who would it be?
Are we allowed to mention other people on the stations?
Yes, go on. I've just opened the door for you.
Anyone associated with Man United. Get Ferdinand, Everett and Roy Keane in a room.
Scholes?
3 of them. Scholes. I forgot about you, Scholes. Sorry, Scholesy.
I mean, Gary, you've dabbled a bit. But is anyone you'd like to have a good chat with?
I've worked for most channels, to be fair, Dave.
I mean, I wasn't going to mention that.
Every different presenter? Everyone?
I mean, Graham, perhaps. Maybe you'd like to...
Graham?
You've had a few, haven't you?
Oh, Graham. A big one with Graham at City a few years ago, if you remember, on a Super Sunday.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was over now, to be fair, but I remember... No, I've had a few with Graham.
So 2023, lots more intelligent discussion and a few fiery debates.
And the sad thing about some of that is that, some of the sort of Monday night football chats, which are a lot more thoughtful, I can't remember what we've done this year, but there's a couple of Monday night footballs that have been really good where you thought you've done things and you think, no, that's pretty good, that is, different.
No one's bothered.
No one's bothered. It's not even made the top 10.
I know, but I think
I feel like I'm on top of the pops.
The conclusion on this probably, I think, is that you'd say from those 10, there aren't many that have been pre-arranged or predetermined. It's just off-the-cuff moments.
And I say, something? I say this, and it's something that I do brag about Sky, actually. That you don't work a 40Q. You don't. We obviously don't on Monday Night Football over-prepare, and I certainly don't tell him what I'm going to say. He don't tell me what I'm going to say. And from a production point of view, Backhouse, we are encouraged spontaneity to make sure that you don't know what each other are going to say too much. And that's why it does come out like it does sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm not giving ourselves a pat on the back here, but that is not always the same every single time.
Given himself a few here, hasn't he?
No, I'm just, no, it's not. This is generally a bigger one for how Sky works, really.
I think our other conclusion is we need a new Ronaldo, because he's featured quite a lot on that list, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, we'll get ignored up a few more yet, don't worry about that.
Let's see what's making the headlines in 2023.